Jerry Golke, tell us what you see coming for the reports on Tuesday.
Well, it's going to be a blockbuster again, I think, because there's a lot of people leaning different directions, and the trade is looking for a better number in corn because of better feed usage. We know the hog report wasn't down as much as we thought, and maybe offset by less exports. We haven't kept up with what we should, and maybe ethanol might be bumped up a little higher again. So looking at neutral to maybe a little friendly ending stocks report. Big question out there is what the USDA is going to do with this corn that's still standing out there, and what are they going to do with test weight and so forth. And as I understand it, they have asked the farmers in their survey how much corn do you have left to harvest, and whatever is out there left to harvest will be included in the on-farm stocks. It's on a farm. It's either in a bin or it's in the field yet. And I don't know if they're going to make much effort to change anything from the test weight, because we haven't really determined that yet from a usage standpoint as to how much that is offset. But either way you look at it, when you run a monitor, it's based on weight divided by 56 pounds. So what I've seen out there is that people are complaining about test weights, and I was one of those, but yet my monitor said, you still got a pretty good yield, Jerry, and my biggest complaint is that how much it costs me to dry that stuff, and in some cases it's $100 to $150 an acre it costs me to dry the 30% moisture corn. So that the market doesn't care what it costs me to dry it. And so if there's a surprise, it might be that the number isn't as friendly in corn as we thought it might be. And we're up against some levels here that it's hard to feed the stuff, and hard to use it maybe for ethanol down the road if crude oil doesn't stay higher. So I would be kind of on the defensive. We ourselves personally only have about 25% of our corn left that we haven't sold, and I think that's enough to speculate with. In soybeans, the crop in Brazil probably will be bigger than what most of the pessimists think or optimists think about the yield. And if the USDA sees that, they will also see that there's been good rains for the corn there, probably raise the crops in Argentina and Brazil another 1 million metric tons or more. That's less exports we'll get in corn. In soybeans, it's conceivable that soybeans could drop another $1 to $1.50 if that crop comes through in Brazil. And so I think that to carry any risk at all in new crop beans, we're 100% covered in beans. Right now it's hedged. That's a big hedge position to be in, but I think if nothing else, a person would want to have at least 25% of his beans sold at this. We're still close to $10 in November beans. I think the job of the market is going to be to try to buy some corn acres, because it's the 2010 crop that we got to be concerned about, and we'll be increasing the use in ethanol there, and hopefully the economy will come back enough that our exports will come back as well. So some economic shift from maybe beans don't look as good and corn maybe looks a little better as beans fall. So I think we got to be careful if we're going to plant the beans that we get them hedged off. And for me, at $10 or $10.50 in this area, I'll fight the battle in trying to make a margin call if they go to $11 for some reason, and we're a ways away from that. So I think going into the report, any report, the old standing rule is that speculators ought to be out and farmers ought to be hedged, at least going into it, because we have a risk at these prices of prices going down from there. So we're gonna know quite a bit, I believe, and if there's going to be a surprise in the marketplace, it could be in wheat. And wheat has been held pretty strong. There's a conventional wisdom out there that he has overestimated the soft red renner wheat acres planted. We have clients in the south, not much further south in the southern Missouri, that didn't plant any wheat at all, any winter wheat for the first time in a long time. And at the prices we've been at, certainly in North Dakota, we won't plant much hard red spring wheat because beans and corn look better up there as well. So the surprise may be that we've cut acres back. Whether we can cut acres back enough to offset the world supply of wheat is another thing, but that's why wheat's been hanging in here pretty good. And even today, corn's unchanged down, beans are down 8 or 9, and wheat is up 4 cents again. So I think that's being built in there. And as we usually say in closing this, that it is going to be far more important as how the market closes on Tuesday after it digests that information than maybe the information itself. I look at it and say, after this report, you really don't have a major report coming again to affect things much until that March 30th planning intentions report. So if we're bullish corn on Tuesday, you need to be selling something if the price of grain drops. And certainly the same way on soybeans. If it's berry soybeans and we find out that crop got bigger, and I think maybe both corn and bean yields got bigger, much to the conservatism of the farmer who was asked what he was going to get in November, when we still had 50% of the beans left and a lot of the corn left to harvest, that we'll probably find out our crop was bigger than that. But if beans are bearish and they turn around and close higher, then you have to re-examine your situation. But for myself personally, if corn can open higher and get above that threshold of that, back to that 420 area in March and 550 or 450 in these, I'll sell a little bit more, and I'll sell a lot more if the price starts to fall, because that's going to be the indicator for the next 2 or 3 months.